Okay guys, we're gonna do a little comparison video between this 360 AIO and my overkill custom water cooling setup over here. And I was very surprised with some of the results I would like to share with you guys. And without any delay, enjoy the video. Alrighty, so one thing I've been waiting for a long time is actually this thing. Not sure I can zoom, but it's basically a Molex splitter. The reason I need it is because I have a Molex power supply that runs this entire kit. So I hate Molex, to be honest, but I kind of have no choice of using it sometimes because a lot of water pumps and just fans and stuff like that will use this type of connector, right? Hopefully I focus. Doesn't want to focus. Anyways, we'll see it on this side here. There we go, this one focus. Yeah, like that. I have a little power supply that I made that can be magnetic onto my little radiator over here. So the idea is to basically, let me push this over a little bit. So the idea is to push this in so I can power the pump and the fan both using the Molex connection. So right now one of these is going to power the fans, which I did find out exactly why it wasn't working before. So the EK fan, this fan connector, when you run it all by itself without a motherboard, you have to use this particular connector just to give it power. So without the power, if you just plug this into like back loop into the fan, I think the signal or the PWM cancel itself, so it wouldn't necessarily do anything. It does power it, but it doesn't actually help you control the fan speed at all. So that's just kind of annoying, but that's okay. Let me sort out some of my things. I do eventually want to get a little box, you know, kind of hold all these things together, but I just don't know like where exactly I want them to be. Maybe I just put them all on top like that. Like that. And just have them all stick onto the top. But for now, I'm just trying to get it to work. Alright guys, finally I got this thing pressure tested. There is a few things I need to touch up off camera, but for now I think I'm ready to fill this loop. So let's go. So my goal on this particular setup is to just to basically run this on my test bench, and then to see whether or not if this would be a more of a convenient setup compared to putting an AIO. But for now, I'm gonna start filling it up. Okay, I've run into a little hiccup. So you see these two mounting mechanisms from Thermalright? Well, one is from the Peerless Assassin 112, and the other one came from the 360 AIO, as you see on the bottom there. So they're not really interchangeable per se, just because this right one is longer than the other one. And I was wondering why I was having a hard time mounting the AIO, because I left the Peerless Assassin 112, 121's still mounted. I thought initially it was a spacer that was different. So if you look at the spacer, they're about the same. So that's kind of annoying. But yeah, just some info for you guys to kind of carry on. So if you are actually upgrading from one of the Thermalright's cooler to another, this is something you have to be kind of cognizant of. So yeah, maybe the other camera can catch it a little bit. So these ones, so can I focus? Can I focus? No, it doesn't want to focus. Anywho, just trying to show you guys. But and you're wondering why am I doing this? You know, I should be testing the big custom water cooling radiator. Well, really is that I wanted to kind of see if I get any sort of difference from a 360 AIO and move on to a custom water cooling solution. But really, I don't foresee to have that much of difference. If not, like this big one will actually I would say perform worse than the Thermalright, just because one thing. This guy. So this guy could be your weakest link among the whole build, because this copper plate or this brass plate, whatever you want to call it, it's designed for older generation AMD, and it's not necessarily have the mounting pressure on concavity that you might expect from one of these AIO you will purchase. So I don't know. I'm here to test it out. And plus, this lock is from Barrel, and it's a very cheap block as well, like 30 bucks US. And I'm looking at this, it's like, well, let's see how a cheap, water cooling solution can be benefit to cooling the CPU per se. But I'm gonna actually stop recording for a minute and then mount the AIO, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, finally got everything all hooked up. PC's boot up. Let's see how the 360 AIO perform under this particular chip. So before the test, I would like to say that the this particular 9800X3D has a negative 45 offset, which apparently is very good in terms like the silicon quality. I think this also had to do with the motherboard setting, because as I'm tuning this particular CPU, I noticed the wattage after a certain negative offset, it just no longer reduces. So I think the BIOS is doing something funky with the negative 45. So I don't think it's the true negative 45, but it's just something I need to point out there before you guys start putting negative offsets onto your CPUs. But so I'm gonna just do my typical test, which is just the 10-minute thermal throttle test. And you can hear the pump is bubbling and doing some stuff. So hopefully the stress test will actually speed up the pump a little bit to get some of the air out. But let's see how it performs. Okay, not bad. It's about 60 degrees. And we're gonna leave this here. And what's the score like? It's about 23 to 19. Let's let it run. I'll be back. Let's see how the 10-minute run fares on this guy. Okay, I'm gonna put the video on pause. I'll be right back. Alrighty, the test is done. What do we have for score? What do we have? So it peaked about 62 degrees, which is not too bad. Let's see. The score says about, just as expected for its performance. Don't see anything out of normal. It is mostly, what I'm most concerned is the temperature here. We peaked about 62 degrees. So let's turn this thing off. We're gonna put the other pump onto this particular CPU and see how I can perform. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I already have this thing all plugged in. The mounting for this particular block, I suppose, it's just hand tied these particular screws, and I haven't really cranked it down really. Just they're, my fingers are weak, they're just finger tight, and the temperature seems to be pretty good. I remember the 360 was idling about 40 degrees, and right now we're sitting at 36. So that's not bad. And another thing to note is that I have the pump speed actually dialed down to a pretty minimum speed. I can crank it up manually to speed up the fan and the pump. I don't think it will lower the temperature by a lot, but for my first test, I'm gonna run this at maximum fan and pump speed and I'm gonna see how it can perform. So let's go. I'm gonna actually reset the timers. I'm gonna go back to Cinebench. I'm gonna do a 10-minute throttle test. And I'm gonna begin. I'm gonna go back and see the temperature sitting around 57 degrees. So really, I'm gaining a little bit of temperature boost, I suppose. But we'll come back in 10 minutes here, see how this thing performs. And we'll be right back. Alright, we're just coming out end of this test, and I kind of say I'm not impressed or surprised at the same time. So I went and look at the temperature. It's sitting at 62 degrees. It's 0.2 degrees lower than the Thermalright 360 AIO. And I do have to turn down the fan and the pump in the middle of a test for a tiny bit, because I think this power supply was actually getting overloaded, so it wasn't able to actually provide all the juice as required for the pump and the fan to run at the same time. But with that said, if you look at the temperature, it's sitting at 60 degrees, right? And I just say that this 360 AIO from Thermalright is holding its weight. It's, if you are just building a run-of-the-mill, no frills gaming PC, this 360 will do every single possible task you can ask any cooler it can handle, basically, right? But what this big cooler can do, where this cannot do from the 360, is you could actually turn everything down almost to nothing. No temperature. So no, like you don't have to speed up the fans, right? So I have turned off pretty much the fans. I do want them to blow a tiny bit, so I'm gonna give them a little bit more speed, right? The pump is running very, very slow right now. I can barely hear any noise, and you could probably back me up by hearing the noise from the speaker. So from the last run, we're staying at 62 degrees. Let's see what we can do with everything turned down. I think the temperature might go up a tiny bit, but this is my guess. But I think overall it's going to be much quieter. So let's get that on our test. Let's go back to this. I'm going to reset the timer, and we're going to do another 10-minute throttle test. See how this thing can handle. And now this thing is running super quiet. Fans are not going crazy. How's the temperature sits like? It shoot up to 60 degrees, 61 degrees. So okay, yeah. Let's see how well this particular, we did a test where the fans are close to a maximum speed. This is a test where the fan close to the minimum possible speed, and obviously we can adjust everything in between the middle. We can kind of guesstimate in between. If I were to turn up the pump, turn up the fan, and yes, and I get it, and most of the people wouldn't run things like this, but I am planning to do a water cooled build with the 5090 and this particular chip, and I'm curious to find out whether or not if I wanted to do a external rad build or an internal rad build. And I kind of decided already I want to get the N case M2 case, because in case I want to do a all rad build inside the case, that particular case can do 3280 radiator inside the case. And I'm interested to find out if I can actually do that or not. But for now, I'm just gonna test this external rad and see how well it can perform. And we'll be right back. Well, we're coming at the end of this test. So we picked about 65 degrees with the pump at very minimum speed and the fan at very minimum speed. So basically there's about a 4 degrees delta between, I would say 5 degrees delta between the everything at max and everything at chill speed. And obviously I think this is a little bit of overkill, just because there's really no water actually going through here. A little bit of water, but there's no air or nothing coming out from this thing. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap up this video in a bit by me just cranking up to, I would say, 30% of everything. A reasonable fan speed, reasonable pump speed. And we're gonna just do one last bit of test and see how everything go, and then we can wrap it up. Alright, here we go. We're gonna start this test. And the score haven't dropped, so it's exactly the same score from before. So let's give it a go, and we'll be right back. Alright, we have the test all finished. We're setting about similar score. Temperature peaked out around 62.6, so pretty much equivalent performance, but super silent and quiet. So that's the trade-off, right? I mean, for the price and for how much simple to install this Thermalright AIO, this is actually one of the better buys compared to my this crazy setup rig over here. But if you're into the quietness and you want to invest into, if you need this quietness for music production, for video production, for sound capturing, I think this would be the better bet. Obviously you could actually swap out the fans on the Thermalright to make it a little bit more quieter, but if you are strive to get that super silent PC operation, I think this is probably what you want to get. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give me a like if you like the video, comment below if you want to give me some advice, and hopefully you can subscribe to the channel for my next video. Have a good day. Bye.